Hey everybody, Michael here from Replica Airguns and Get Fit Over 40. This drone, this DJI Neo, I'm going to be using it, I'm sure, in both situations for Get Fit Over 40 and, of course, Replica Airguns. I sometimes use my HoverAir in the past. I've used drones for different shots, but not as often, but I definitely have. And so really, in this video, we're going to go over the new DJI Neo, which I'm sure a lot of you have heard about by now. And is it really able to do all of the things? Is it an all-in-one kind of drone? Is it able to do all these things? Obviously, we know it can be like a flying selfie camera, and out of the box, it does just that. It's an autonomous, it's got the built-in AI. It's kind of a lot like the HoverAir X1, and I've been using the HoverAir X1 for over a year now, and I just sold it basically because I've got the DJI Neo. So I can't show you it, but I'm sure there's a whole bunch of videos out there, unboxing videos of both of the products, the Neo, the HoverAir. You can check those out. So I will be comparing the Neo based on my own personal experience to the HoverAir. And I'm going to be talking about how the Neo is capable of much more than just being a flying selfie. And, you know, can it basically replace all your other drones? Can it be the one drone that is all you need? Is it really capable of that? And, you know, if you maybe don't want to watch this whole video, you just want the short answer. The short answer is yes, it can do everything. You may find that it's the only drone you need, but it really comes down to your expectations. And so I'm going to cover some of the shortcomings of the DJI Neo, where it shines, where it falls, and how it compares. There's going to be quite a bit of a comparison to the HoverAir, because I think some of you might be in the market for the HoverAir. Now keep in mind the HoverAir, so the company, Zero Robotics, I believe is their name, they just came out with a new version of their HoverAir, and it's being crowdfunded right now. I've actually got one on order, and I believe it's going to pretty much kick the Neo's butt in terms of a flying selfie drone, in terms of resolution, in terms of things you can do with it. But even that said, it's not going to be able to do FPV flying. You're not going to be able to connect it to goggles. You're not going to be able to, well, you will be able to connect it to a standalone remote controller. Maybe not get exactly the same distance that you can get out of the Neo with the dedicated controller, because there's no GPS in the HoverAir. But it does work pretty good not having the GPS. Its ability to stay in place is actually pretty amazing. So, all right. Now, again, I've used the HoverAir, so we're going to do some comparisons for sure there. And, you know, I don't really claim to be a pro at any of the things I'm going to be talking about. You know, I've had drones in the past, dedicated drones for doing those, you know, cinematic things, getting up high, doing some pans and stuff. You know, never really did a lot of it, but it was fun to do that. It didn't excite me that much. What really got me excited was when I got the Avata. And the Avata was, you know, it's basically, you know, a larger version of the DJI Neo. It's just a bigger version. So I had the Avata 1, and it really got me excited about FPV flying and using the goggles and feeling like you're flying a jet fighter almost, essentially. Is how it feels when you're flying it. And so that got me into the FPV. I did actually sell the Avata, and I got some other drones, which I have tons of them. So I've got all these Cinewhoops. And by the way, these have DJI cameras and video systems in them. You know, I've even got these little guy. This is a GEP RC, and this is called a Pavo Pico. Look at how tiny that is, right? This has a DJI digital camera. It's one of the earlier versions, so it's only 720p, but it works with my goggles. Even my brand new goggles, it works, and I can fly these guys using the DJI goggles and potentially even the DJI remotes if I wanted to. And again, you know, here's like a little tiny, you know, this is a 3-inch, right? FPV flyer, and it's got a DJI camera in it. I also have larger ones too, so 5-inch prop versions, and these get a little heavier and heavier and bigger over time. You know, and then the typical Cinewhoops here. Right, so we've got, this is a FPV beta FPV 70 or 85 and a 75. This one I converted to DJI system, so it's got a DJI Air system in it. So really cool stuff. And you know, all that, I fly these all the time, have a lot of fun, almost every day, a little bit here and there. Am I really good at it? Not really, but I'm learning, I'm getting better and better, and I'm having a lot of fun. So the DJI Neo really interested me because it kind of can do everything. So if I'm going away or I just want to take one drone with me, I can take this guy and I can just kind of do everything with it. If I want the HoverAir experience and have it follow me around and get some really cool shots just by pressing a button, I don't have to connect it to anything, it'll do that. If I want to get up high in the air and get some really good cinematic stuff, even without a remote, you can do a bit of that. But if you want to go up higher and further, you can connect it to a remote and do even more. And if you want that FPV experience, you can either use the motion controller for people that haven't learned true FPV yet, manual mode, or you can use, so you got these guys, you got the FPV motion controller, and then you have the basically the FPV or the manual controller here for flying true FPV. And you know, you can look it up. There's different ones that work with the DJI Neo. You have to obviously use specific motion controllers, specific controllers, and specific goggles. So I had to actually upgrade my goggles Integra to the DJI Goggles 3 because the Integras weren't backwards compatible yet. DJI may do a firmware update that allows these guys, which look a lot the same. You'd think, since they only came out about a year ago, you'd think that they'd work with something that's, you know, fairly new, but they don't at this time. Maybe DJI will be nice enough to get other goggles working. Let's hope they do, because I think more people can experience more versatility with the DJI Neo, because it is super versatile. All right, so at this point, I want to start to get into the comparison of the HoverAir, so the Neo with the Neo, and I might load up the software in a bit. This isn't like a video where I'm going to show you all around the software and I'm going to do all that kind of stuff. I will have some flying. I will show examples of flying, so it's not just going to be me talking. I might put some of those in while I'm talking, but they might just show up at the end because I'm kind of talking through those videos as well. So there's narration in the video, so you can kind of get an idea of what I'm doing. But I do show off all the different modes. I show off FPV flight. I show off using it with the motion controller and using the FPV controller. So I show all that and just some different ways you can utilize it. And I think they're good examples of what this is really capable of. Okay, so for the most part, the DJI Neo and the HoverAir, they kind of do all the same stuff. They do, you know, your follow mode. They do your droney mode. Droney mode is when it kind of flies out, usually up a bit and comes back. Follow mode, obviously, it's going to follow you. Circle is when it spins around, comes back. Rocket is when it goes straight up. Now, on the HoverAir, they call it slightly different things, but it's the same thing. On HoverAir, it's called bird's eye. Spotlight is essentially, it's the same as sort of like tripod mode on HoverAir. So just put it in one spot, and as you walk around, it's going to follow you, but it's not going to move. So that's called Spotlight. And then direction tracking, and I don't think I've even mentioned it in here, but direction tracking, they'll both kind of follow you if they're behind you, but if you walk towards them, they'll stay out in front of you. And as you go around corners, they try to stay in front of you. The HoverAir was really poor at it initially. It got better with firmware updates, but I think the Neo actually does a better job of doing basically the motion tracking where it's in front of you. It sort of, as you turn a corner, it kind of goes out to the side, and then as you finish the corner, it comes out in front of you. It does a really good job of it, actually. Unless you like sprint in front of it, then it kind of loses you. But it does a good job. So they all do that. They all sort of have their own take on them. They're not exactly the same in terms of what they can do, but they're very similar. So I wouldn't say one is necessarily better than the other in terms of the basic functionality. And you can fly them both without a controller, without even opening your phone, or you can open your phone and potentially have more abilities to change settings. Like on your phone, for instance, on the HoverAir, you can change it to portrait mode, and you can also change resolutions and all those types of things. Same with the Neo. But, you know, there is a certain amount that you can do just by using the buttons on both of them. The HoverAir does have more buttons, so you have the more ability to, and I talk about this further on, but you have more ability to use the buttons. We'll get onto that a little bit more. All right, now they can both, again, fly using the phone as a simple visual. You can use either manual mode. So manual mode is kind of neat. You actually can see what's going on the screen for both of them, and you can control them, make them fly up, down, spin, yaw, all that kind of stuff. So, but I would say with the DJI Neo, the manual control is much better. It's just more, it's smooth because it's progressive. The virtual joystick buttons aren't as, you know, with the HoverAir, it's like on or off. With the DJI Neo, it's more responsive, and if you practice with it, you can actually get really good at flying it smoothly. And with the DJI Neo, you can go much higher and further out, which is kind of nice in manual mode. And the other thing about the DJI Neo is you can, when the screen's open, when you're in the DJI Fly app, you can always see what's going on your camera. With the HoverAir, the only time you can see what's going on in the camera is in manual mode. So, it's kind of nice if you're having it in follow mode, you can actually look at your phone and see what's going on, even when it's in follow mode on the DJI Neo. So that's kind of cool. Another thing that they both can do is they can both utilize the phone's internal microphone. So if you've got the app open and the screen is on, you can talk into your phone, and what'll happen is it'll record the audio on the phone, okay? And then while it's recording the audio on the phone, it gets rid of the prop noise so that you don't have all that noise. Now, it'll get rid of a lot of noise in general, so you're not going to hear your surroundings very well. You're really only going to just get mostly your voice, and that's going to be recorded to the file. Now with the DJI, what it does is it actually, as soon as you stop recording, it transfers that audio file right to the drone so that it saves it on the drone, okay? With the HoverAir, it doesn't save the audio file on the drone, it saves it on the phone. So the only way to get that file merged with the original video file is to download the file. It then merges the two. It's kind of different on the DJI Neo. It literally transfers a copy of the video or of the audio to the drone. So if you want to connect your drone to your computer, you can get both files and then sync them on your computer. If you download them through the app, it syncs it for you automatically. So that's kind of cool that they both do that. So that's a little tip there on how they work. The other thing is they're both under 250 grams. So I believe the HoverAir is about 125 grams and the DJI Neo is around 130 something grams. So they're very close in weight. I wouldn't say, one's better than the other. They're just slightly different weights. And that keeps them under that 250 gram thing where most countries, if it's over 250 grams, at least Canada and the US, you typically will need some sort of license or registration. It just makes it more complicated to try to use your drone when it's over 250 grams. So they both being under that make it a lot easier. And both have what's called a one-axis gimbal. So I'm not doing all these close-ups and stuff because you've probably seen a ton of videos, but what I'm talking about here is this gimbal is one axis. It doesn't move side to side. It doesn't twist this way or any other way. It just goes up and down, which is perfect, for doing gimbal adjustments. Like if you want to look up or down manually when you're in manual mode, different things, you can adjust your gimbal, and it also does it while it's doing its own flying. So they both have that set up. And the cameras are a little bit different, but I would say the overall quality, even though the HoverAir is 2.7K, 30 frames per second, and the DJI Neo is 4K, 30 frames per second maximum, I would say at the end of the day, they're pretty close. The Neo is a little bit better in my opinion, but both of these companies have over sharpened and over contrasted the image a little bit, maybe a little too much saturation. It'd be nice to just sort of dial it back a little or have the ability to dial it back, but neither company at this point allows you to change the sharpness or saturation or contrast. Possibly DJI will do it in the future because there is an option for video where you can choose normal, but the thing is normal is the only option. So maybe some other options will show up there to have different levels of video settings, or possibly manual setting, possibly one that's flatter, so it's a little flatter looking, so you can go in later on and edit it and sharpen it up and put the contrast and sharpness you want. That said, you can adjust the video quality on the Neo, so not with the HoverAir, by using either the remote control that comes with the bundle. If you're in the settings there, you'll be able to adjust it, or by using the goggles. So the goggles, when you're connected to the Neo, allow you to adjust things like sharpening. And so what I've done in my goggles when I'm connected is I bring the sharpening down to a -2, and I feel the image quality looks a lot better. So there's a little tip. I'm not sure if I added that in my tips, but that's a tip for you guys just in case I forgot to add it in my tips. Now both have full prop guards and are very crash resistant. This one actually I took them off, so it's kind of cool. You can take off these prop guards if you want to. I took them off. It does lighten it up by 5 grams. That might make a difference. I hear it also makes it a little quieter. I didn't really do a sound test before and after, but it might reduce the sound, the noise level. You will be more prone to, getting sticks and things. And I already broke a prop when I crashed it. It was upside down. Well, I didn't break the prop, but I scratched it up really good. So I replaced the prop. It's easier to clean the props with the guards off, because if you land in the grass, it's going to turn into a mini lawnmower, and you're going to have little grass bits and green all over this guy in no time. So if you want to clean it up a little better, you can take these off. Another little tip. Now, so where does each one of these shine? So where does the HoverAir, for instance, shine over the DJI Neo, and where does the DJI Neo shine over the HoverAir? Now, this isn't taking into account the newest HoverAir, which is called the Pro and Pro Max. That's going to be a whole other review when that one comes, and I have a feeling that will be really good at that one. The HoverAir Pro and Pro Max will be really good at doing this, the flying selfie drones, but again, not as good at everything else, or even being able to do everything else. Okay, so the HoverAir has more ability to change settings using the buttons on the drone. So they've got an extra button which allows you to change things like distance, pretty much only distance. So if you want the drone to go further out when it's doing its maneuvers, you can adjust that. And for instance, when you're in your custom mode, you can switch between the custom modes. With the Neo, you can't really do that because you just have the sort of default settings. The Neo does have a trick up its sleeve to get around that a little bit. I'll talk about that in a bit. The HoverAir is better at staying in place when inside in low light. So for whatever reason, HoverAir, the sensors on the bottom, so it has sensors on the bottom just like this. In low light inside, it just seems to do better. It doesn't seem to start drifting as much. It stays in place. With the Neo, if you don't have enough light, it'll just start to drift, and then it starts complaining, and then it'll literally land because it doesn't see the ground and it can't stay in place because it doesn't know where it is. Now, when you're inside, there's no GPS, so it's relying on those sensors only. Outside's a different story. With GPS, it stays in place, even in lower light, not too bad. Okay, so the HoverAir X1 can record in portrait mode. So at this point in time, and I think DJI will do a firmware update where they'll allow portrait mode, but portrait mode, I use it on my HoverAir when I wanted to make social media posts, and I wanted portrait mode, and I didn't want to have to crop the video later on in post. I could just record in portrait mode, send it straight to the internets, and put my content online really easy. So hopefully DJI does that. It's a matter of just cropping into the video. So it's not like, it should be pretty simple for them to do. It's not a change of the hardware, it's a software thing. Now the HoverAir X1 can use just about any external USB or Bluetooth microphone for recording. So the DJI can do that too. The Neo can use an external microphone, but DJI is kind of like Apple, and they've decided that what they're gonna do is they're gonna make it so that you have to spend $300 and buy their DJI 2 microphone to be able to use that feature. Instead of saying, hey, you've got a USB mic, whether it's USB plugs in or it's a wireless USB transmitter, or you've got a Bluetooth mic, and like my Meta glasses, for instance, would record into the HoverAir app, and I would actually get them recording. So I got better audio than just using the microphone on the phone. So, it would be nice if I could actually use this microphone directly, right? So instead I got to stand there with my phone like this and look kind of like a dork, right? Instead of being more discreet. So DJI, get your act together. Don't be such a Apple. Don't be like Apple, right? Be nice. Nobody wants to spend $300 just so their audio sounds slightly better. Nobody's going to do that, right? Unless you have the DJI 2 mic already, you're not going out and buying it for a $250 drone. You're not going to spend $300 on a mic. That's just retarded. Just saying, right? All right, the HoverAir X1 can be folded, making it much more portable. So, I'm not going to show you, I can't, but the HoverAir, the wings just literally fold in on itself, and you can literally put it in your back pocket. So it is more portable in terms of its taking up space, okay? And the HoverAir at this time can track a little bit faster than the DJI Neo, but that can change. So the HoverAir has a higher top speed when following, which is beneficial, right? If it can go a little faster and you're on a bike and you're pedaling fast, you're less likely to lose it. So that's cool. By the way, the new HoverAir Pro Max can do something like 60 kilometers an hour in a burst type situation, but I think it maxes out at around 40, maybe 45 kilometers an hour. So it'll be very good at tracking if you're on something like an electric scooter or e-bike and you want to really be hauling butt. So that's kind of cool. But for now, DJI only really hits, I think, about 20 kilometers an hour, and then it's pretty much starts to drag behind. So you got to make sure you're not outpacing this guy when you're having it follow you, which isn't going to happen when you're walking or even running. It might happen on a bike or something like that. So keep that in mind. That could again change in a future software update. And I expect it to change, to be honest, because this thing can do 60 kilometers an hour, right? So why wouldn't they make it be able to track you a little faster? The HoverAir X1 does not restrict you when you fly. So there is no geofencing. So in other words, what DJI has is geofencing. They want to comply to all the regulations. And even though the drone, that being under 250 grams, doesn't have to comply to any of those regulations because it's not really a drone, it's a toy with a camera. But DJI being DJI makes it so this guy still has to comply. And so if you live near an airport, if you're even in a blue zone, which isn't a totally restricted one, but you still have to click things and say, I take responsibility and all that stuff, you have to do that with this. Now, when you're in the software, just using your phone and not a controller or the goggles, it's just a real quick thing that comes up on the screen. You check it, say, I take responsibility. It's very quick. And I don't mind that at all because it's not really intrusive. But if you're using the goggles or a dedicated remote control, you will, at least at this point in time, have to go online and register. Basically, you'll have to apply for a request authorization to use it in a geo zone, specifically to the drone. So you got to register the drone. You got to have an account. You got to do that. Then you got to transfer it to the drone using software while you're connected to the internet. And then you can fly it in that geo zone. Super pain in the ass, right? DJI, it's not a real drone. I know you think it is, but it's not. It's a flying toy camera, okay? Okay, so moving on to the DJI Neo. The Neo has voice command. So we're gonna talk about where the DJI Neo excels, right? So now we're gonna talk about the good stuff. So it has voice command as long as the DJI Fly app's open. So with the HoverAir, you can just click the buttons and change settings. With the DJI Neo, it has voice commands, and you can literally do quite a bit of stuff with it. So you can actually tell it to basically start recording and flying in follow mode, or circle mode, or bird's eye, or whatever they call it, rocket mode. You can say rocket mode and give it basically a distance that you want to go up. Now you do kind of have to know the different distance increments, otherwise it's not going to know what you're telling it. So you have to be specific to the command. So it's good to learn those commands. But what's really cool, what I think is super cool, is while it's following you, if you want it to say go lower, let's say there's some tree branches coming up and you have it high and you don't want to hit those tree branches, you can go in and push a little button on your phone for voice command, and you can say lower, right? And it'll just go lower. It'll just come down to this. Basically, there's three settings: low, flat, and high. So if it's in high mode, it'll go to flat. If you say lower, it'll go down to the lowest mode, right? And same with distance. You've got three distances that you can tell it to come in or go back, so you can have it come closer and further. And that also works in tracking mode. When it's tracking you from the front, you can have it go up, back, all that kind of stuff, just by telling it. So you don't have to hunt around for a bunch of stuff. There is a way to do a voice command to open up the voice commands, but what I usually do is just push the little button, and then I just say the thing I want it to do, and it does it. So that is a really cool feature, and that's something that's just exclusive to the DJI Neo. All right, so the software is a bit more intuitive, I'd say, on the DJI Neo. It's a little cleaner looking. It also, in manual mode, like I was talking before, you have much more control over the sensitivity of the movements. It's more progressive. It just seems smoother, and it is actually very usable. And in manual mode, again, you can go 60 meters high, 60 meters out. That's a long ways. That's 166 feet high and 166 feet away before it starts saying it's reached its maximum distance. Okay. And again, the DJI Neo records in 4K, which is better than the HoverAir's 2.7. And I think, even though at this point DJI isn't really taking, they're not really, what's the best way to describe it? They're being very conservative with the video quality. I think they can do better. I think they can optimize it. Maybe it's for, like, the more you try to make a hardware device work harder and be higher quality, the hotter it gets. So I think they're trying to optimize battery usage, video quality, all of those things, compression. So hopefully they can tweak that a little bit and get slightly better video quality out of it with, again, less compression, less contrast, less saturation, less sharpness, because they need to, if they're going to have a one-size-fits-all setting, they need to dial it in a little bit better. But it is better quality at 4K than the HoverAir for sure, by a little bit. And there's the potential for it to get a lot better, I think, as well. Now the DJI Neo, as I mentioned before, has GPS, which allows it to do things like go over water and go off of drop-offs without it freaking out because it's got the GPS. It still knows where it is, even if the video feed it's tracking through the bottom sensors isn't seeing anything, it's not going to totally freak out on you. So it's not going to crash into the water or go down a cliff and end up in some sort of creek or gully or who knows what. So that's kind of cool with the GPS. So it's much better outside, even though inside maybe it's not as good. Now the DJI Neo is much more than a one-trick pony. So that's the other thing. So the HoverAir just does the one thing. The HoverAir Pro and Pro Max coming out will allow you to connect a dedicated controller with this, I forget the name of it, but they have this device that connects to it, has a little screen, and it allows it for the tracking to see you even better and to lock in on you even better. So that's kind of cool. And then it's got little joysticks and it gives you more range, I think up to 1 kilometer. But if you want ultimate range, you connect your DJI to motion controller or the different remotes and the goggles, and you can get out as far as 10 kilometers maximum. You're never going to get that, but that's the maximum range. It's crazy. Further than this thing could ever fly on a battery, that's for sure about here. So let's talk about all the things that this can do over and above being a flying selfie camera. So I don't have the actual remote controller that makes it like a drone, but let's pretend this was it. You know, I could put my phone on here and connect it via USB cable, and I could control this just like a typical drone. It would give me more range. That controller also gives me the ability to adjust some of the video settings more, so I can get a little bit better quality video by adjusting that. And I can fly pretty much up as high as whatever my limitations are in that geo zone. And, you know, range is almost more than you'd ever need. And out, you know, probably more than you'll ever need considering this, you know, battery life. Oh, that's the other thing I haven't mentioned. So I'll mention it right now because it's not on my list. This guy has about 18 minutes max battery life. The HoverAir only has 10 minutes. Now, real world, you're going to get closer to 15, and with the HoverAir, you'd get real world closer to 8. So almost double the amount of battery life on the Neo. So that's a huge thing. All right, getting back to the flying, as a typical drone, you know, it can do that. It can do the drone thing. It can fly like a typical drone. It can go up. It can go far. It can stay pretty flat and level. Where it falls apart a little bit, again, is going to be video quality compared to a real drone. The drone is going to have much higher, you know, video quality, usually 60 frames a second, bigger sensors on their cameras, lower light's going to be not a problem. It's just going to look a lot better, less compression, more bit rate, all of those things in a dedicated drone. But again, you're spending like $600 and up on a dedicated drone, even the small ones, right? So that's going to be expensive. So these guys, this will give you a lot of that functionality, just with a little bit less quality of video. You're not going to have as much range because the batteries aren't as powerful, as they don't have as much battery life, but you can still do a lot. You know, 15 minutes of flying, you can still get up there, get out there, do a lot in 15 minutes. Wind will be a factor. So if you're flying in high winds, a bigger drone, you know, even the minis are susceptible to the wind, and they're over 250. They're about 200 and just under 250 grams. But the bigger drones do really well in the wind. So the bigger the drone, the better it handles wind, and the more power it has, so the more it can cut through that wind and get where it wants to go. So in terms of comparing it to a standard drone, you have to, you know, you compromise video quality, you compromise distance, you compromise stability a little bit as well, and speed and all of those things. But it can still do it. Just really depends on what your expectations are. The next thing I want to compare it to is like something like an Avata. So an Avata, when I first got my Avata, just imagine this being like double the size. Came with the motion controller. My Avata actually came with this headset. So this is the headset I got with it, the Integras. And it was my first experience at FPV flying. And you can pick up one of these motion controllers and you can start flying. It's just a matter of you just motion. It follows the motion of your hand, and the trigger is your throttle. And then you've got other things you can adjust, gimbals and different things. And you know, if you want to look up or down, all that kind of stuff, you can adjust it with this and fly it. And it's super easy. Within 5 minutes, you've got a really good idea of how to fly that thing. And you can control it and get, you know, make it go where you want it to go pretty well. And it's really good using the motion controller. Kind of like an FPV, but without all the tricks and all the super fast speeds, but it's really nimble and you can really make it fly through small areas slowly and easily without much experience. So Can it do that? Like the Avata, yes. The limitation that it has, again, is going to be video quality. The Avata is much better video quality. Your end result's going to look better because especially it's 60p, not 30p, so you're not going to have as much jitter. And the Avata is going to be able to go faster. I don't know why, but when you're using the motion controller, DJI has really throttled this back. Especially if you're flying low, it slows down the lower you get. The closer you get to the ground, it slows down. The Avata, to me, I don't remember it doing that. As soon as I get it up a little bit off the ground, your speed actually increases. And as you climb, it's weird. You can climb and go up and maintain, you can actually go faster than if you're flying along the ground. So if I go along the ground, I might be doing 4 meters per second, whatever that is in kilometers. As I go up and accelerate up, it's actually doing like closer to 8 meters per second. So it's bizarre. So you know it has the power to do it. It's something that DJI has done in terms of their software. But at the end of the day, you can fly it like an Avata and you can do a lot of the same things, especially if you just want to slowly kind of explore your surroundings and see things and just move around and check out the world around you. Super cool using the motion controller. Now, if you want to do full-on FPV and unlock the full potential and speed of the DJI Neo, then you have to get the RC controller. This is the RC controller 2, I believe. Can't remember what it is. Whatever one I just bought, spent all this money on. I never had this one, but it's the only one that works and makes this an FPV thing. So I've invested some money here, and I bought the goggles 3. So these are the 2 guys I need to do FPV. You need the goggles 3, and you need the motion controller, I think 2. I'm not sure if the first version works or whatever version is. Look up the specifications. But once you have all that stuff, you can fly in manual mode and you can get this thing up to 60 kilometers an hour. You can do all the climbs and the dives, and you can do the, you can do loops, and you can do flips and all those things. But to be honest, you got to be super careful. I was trying to do like 360s and stuff, and I don't even try a power loop, but I was trying to do some. You have to be very, very subtle with the controls. You can't do anything, you have to be very careful and make sure that you don't overpower it out. Like, so if you're coming down out of a dive, you can't just hit the bottom and come out. You got to start coming out of that dive early. Otherwise, when you get to the bottom, it's going to do this. It's kind of like, it kind of puts its own brakes on and just starts to go, goes out of control. And if you're too close to the ground, you're going to probably back into the ground or something. So as long as you're doing tricks and stuff, if you're going to try them out, get up high, do the tricks up high over an open field so that if it does, kind of freak out, it's got time to correct itself, and usually you'll be fine. If it will correct itself, it just needs a little height to do that in space. So if you're going to play around and experiment with that, I was able to do loops. I said rolls. I haven't really been able to get a decent roll in yet, so I got to figure out what I'm doing wrong. It's very sensitive to certain things, but just flying around and just navigating and kind of, just flying fast around things and just be an FPV, like, I wouldn't say freestyle, but just exploring your world around you with some speed and just feeling like you're in that jet fighter and stuff, totally can do it. And better almost than I thought. Now, one little trick when you're flying in FPV mode, because things are moving fast around you, 30 frames per second isn't going to be enough in your goggles or in the video. So the video will be stuttering a lot. You'll see those frames per second. It's just there's no way it's going to be able to compress that information when that much is going on. So it's better to put it in 1080p 60. It'll look way better in the goggles. Everything's going to be way smoother, and your end video is going to be nice and smooth. Now, yes, you're sacrificing some resolution, but it will be less compressed than this big 4K video that's just got way too much going on, and all you're seeing is a bunch of video tearing. So that's the trick. FPV flying, if you're going to do true now, if you're FPV flying and you're just being really smooth and you're not doing too much aggressive stuff and you're trying to keep it nice and smooth, then you probably could do 4K 30. But again, if you're doing a lot of acrobatic stuff, moving around a lot, up, down, all that kind of stuff, lots of turns, throw it in 1080p 60. That's my tip. And it just looks way better in the goggles because the goggles are 1080p anyway, so you're not going to get that. You're not going to see the 4K in the goggles. You'll just see more frames, which is way easier to fly. I think that was one of my tips, to be honest. But yeah, I think that's kind of it. We're going to get into some of those tips I've already discussed, but yeah. So I already discussed the recording. So saying recording in 1080p for FPV is the choice that I would suggest. But if you're recording and you're doing fairly smooth stuff, so if you're just, you know, it's tracking you, you're just walking around, it's behind you or it's in front of you, totally record in 4K because the camera's not moving around too much. So even when it's spinning around you, it's spinning around at a sort of like a real steady pace. So even 30 frames per second isn't bad at 4K. It just the only time I'd suggest putting it in 1080p is if you want to do slow motion, or if you want to do FPV flying and you're doing some really, you know, erratic movements and really flying and throwing it around. Again, don't use it in low light. Low light is not a cool situation for the Neo. You just need, like, if you've got lots of lights in your house and you want to film inside, or you want to do something where you're recording inside, make sure you got a lot of lights turned on or some good natural light, and then it'll be just fine, but you will need the light to do that. Now, I did talk about the geozones. I just wanted to cover it slightly more and a little more in depth because I struggled with that trying to get mine to work, and it was like I just was thinking, did I just waste my money on this Neo because I can't even fly it in my backyard because I was having so much trouble. So the one thing that I'm hoping they'll be able to unlock is you're supposed to, in most cases with these drones, especially in a blue zone. So a blue zone is it is a flight restricted zone, but usually you can self-authorize on the drone itself. You can just check a box, take responsibility, and fly. But for some reason, the DJI Neo, I remember seeing a thing saying that the software version wasn't compatible for self-authorizing using the app. So, and even when I was connected to internet, still had the same problem because I was doing it on, you know, on my phone at certain times. So that can be a bit of an issue. The way that I figured out how to do it is to go to the DJI Fly website. So there's a site there for asking for permission. So for authorizing certain geozones, you have to have a DJI account that you log into. You have to have that same DJI account on your Fly app, right? So go to the site. You have to put your drone's serial number code in there. There's a special code you got to put in. Tell it what drone you have, register that in the licensing site that they have. So you have to put all that information, put yourself as a user. So there's a bit of setup initially, but once you've got all that, you can then just go and pick a zone based on a map. You just show it where you want to authorize it and get authorization. It's like an authorization license. Apply for it essentially. If it's like a blue zone, you should get immediate authorization accepted. It's nothing too fancy. And then that's on the site. So the next step you got to do is you've got to open up the DJI app while you're connected to your goggles. Your goggles are connected to your phone so that you can use the DJI app on your phone, and you've got an internet connection. Then you got to make sure the drone is connected, so it's actually connected to the goggles so it sees the drone. Then you go to your user profile in the app. So you got to back out of the screen, what you're seeing in the camera, go to your profile, go to settings, go to like the geo authorization section there on licensing, and then you unlock that. Maybe I'll put it up on the screen. I'll put some screenshots so you see what I'm saying. So go to that section, and then you have to go in and synchronize while you're online so that it sees the license that you applied for. And then what I had to do is I had to check it off and then check it and then click all the boxes and then make sure I send that to the drone. So it's got to be sent to the drone. Yeah, that's what you got to do. And if you do that, it'll work every time. It'll unlock it every time. Now it sounds like a real complicated process because it is. It totally is. But after about the fourth or fifth time doing it, because if I want to fly, I have to do that every time, even if I just did it, if I put a new battery in or whatever, and I got to resend it to the drone again, because it seems like it forgets it after you change batteries and disconnect. So, and then that license, by the way, is only good for 3 days. At least that's what I found. It's like I registered on the 9th. It's good to the 11th. So I can fly for 2-3 days. After that, I got to go apply for another license. Yeah. So DJI, do you really need to make people go through all that for a 130 gram drone that doesn't, it's not classified as a drone that you need to worry about any of that stuff? Please fix it. Please just stop it with that, right? If it knows you're using a DJI Neo, you shouldn't have to worry about geofencing. Anyways, I think that's pretty much it. Hopefully I didn't miss too much. I'll try to intertwine this video with some screenshots and different things that I'm talking about, because I think that'll help you understand some of it better. But at this point, any of the videos that I haven't showed up till now, it might be all of them that I haven't showed. I don't know if I can put them in or not, because some of them are a bit longer. But if I can put them in, I will. If I can't, then I will put them in now, and you can watch them now. And they've got narration and stuff. And I think they're worth watching because it really shows you what this guy can do, this DJI Neo, what it really can do. It's pretty amazing. And for me, I'm actually going to get rid of some of my stuff. I'm going to get rid of this guy, my Cinelog or whatever it is, 20. I'm going to get rid of this guy. It's a GEP RC drone. It's been really good. It's got a DJI O3 air unit. It's actually a better video quality than my DJI Neo, but it's a $600 drone, right? So if I crash this into a lake or something, I'm out $600. If I crash this into a lake, I'm out $250. I might even be able to salvage the battery. If I crash into a creek, I bet you I could use that battery again. It's probably all sealed. So I'm only out $200 because I saved the battery. So I'm less likely to worry about when I'm flying. I'm really paranoid when I fly this guy because I don't want to crash it. And it's also heavy, and it takes this huge battery that makes it really heavy. It's still under 250 grams, but this thing's so light that when it smashes into stuff, it doesn't really do anything. I've smashed it into a bunch of stuff and crashed it pretty hard, and it's totally fine. So yeah, I mean, for me, I can kind of get rid of a bunch of stuff. I'm not going to get rid of my fun flying drones because these things just perform so well. I don't really use these to record videos for other people. I just use them for myself and just enjoy flying like a bat out of hell and trying different stuff. They're just totally fun. So we'll leave it at that. You decide if the DJI Neo can do enough, if it's good enough quality, if it does all the things you need it to do. If you don't need to make pro videos, you just want to have fun and make some cool stuff and make some good videos and memories and things, then I think it's more than capable of fitting most people's needs. All right, thanks for watching another Replica Airguns and GetFitOver40.com video. Until next time, take care. Do 4 different versions of this. Going to do the 4K first with the 265 codec. I want to see if we're going to get jittering at all, or if there's going to be less jittering with different modes. Because I have noticed that there is a little bit of jittering in some of these videos. And yeah, so we're just doing a basic. And it's interesting because if I start the camera out a little higher, it seems to go higher. There is a way to adjust this and make it higher.
Aircraft is already performing a task. Try again when finished.
All right. So I can do voice commands, but I think while it's doing its circle, it won't let me do that. So let's see if I can do a voice. 1080p allows you to do 60 frame, and we're doing 265 codec. See if it looks any different. And by the way, this is, I believe, just out at 20 feet. I'm just doing all these videos at 20 feet because you can do up to 66 feet. I'm using Imperial as my measurement. But that might be a little too far away. I might be hitting the trees and stuff. So pretty cool. Okay, we're recording. So the last test here, I think we might have cut off what I was trying to say. But this is the last test, and this is going to be 1080p, 60 frames per second in 264 instead of 265. So we'll see how that looks. All right, we're doing the droney. So it's just going to go out. There's a big huge stop button here in case it gets too far. This is the maximum distance. I can't remember what it is, but it's going out pretty good. Track me as I move around. It sees me, but it wants to go back to the same place. So it just kind of goes straight out. That's okay. All right, here's rocket with a rotation. So that's pretty cool. Now if I move around, it still sees me, but it sort of locks its position. I can move around underneath it, which is kind of good. Sometimes it's neat to be able to walk around. All right, now it's coming down. Very cool. Got about 36% battery left, according to my app. Here we go, recording, boomerang, 33 feet. That way we won't hit any trees. So it's going to kind of do this boomerang thing where it kind of starts further away, goes, I was zooming around you, but kind of gets further away and then kind of comes back around and gets closer. But it's kind of neat. It gives you not really a 360, kind of gives you this go higher and circle at the same time, but it's also going to go 66 feet out. So I'm hoping that I don't hit a tree. Oh my God, it just missed that tree. Oh wow. Please don't go into those trees. All right, I'm going to try something here. Voice commands, and I'm going to say higher.
No problem.
Further away.
Okay.
It's pretty cool. So if I'm walking around and I want it to get even further, or I want it to get really closer, let's try it again. Closer.
No problem.
So you can adjust the height, which is really cool, and the distance. Lower.
No problem.
So it's obviously letting me know. Lower.
Okay.
I don't want it to hit these branches here, so. And then we're going to get it to go higher here. Higher.
No problem.
Higher.
No problem.
Further.
Okay.
Further.
No problem.
Higher.
No problem.
Further.
Okay.
Further.
No problem.
I don't know if it is getting further. It seems like it's maxed out. Higher.
Okay.
I think it'll only go so higher so far. Lower. Lower.
Okay.
There it goes. Lower.
Okay.
So it can get, so there's 3 settings. So it goes basically low, medium, high. Closer.
No problem.
Closer.
Okay.
Yeah, so this is probably the closest. I'm going to go higher by 1. Higher.
No problem.
All right, so this is a good one for having to track you because it's about the same height as me, my face. I'm going to run through this stuff and see if you can keep up. And the cool thing is I'm looking at my phone and talking to do it. And see if it hits anything. Definitely keep up with the running, man. Try to avoid the branches. Okay. We're going to go in the middle here and try something a little bit more distancey. All right, we're doing direction tracking, and I've got my lapel mic set up here so I can record the lapel because only DJI mics apparently work with this software. It's really weird because the HoverAir lets you use whatever. I could use my Meta glasses, I could use a USB mic, but apparently DJI, like Apple, has got a closed system. You can only use their DJI mic too. But let's get back to the direction tracking. So this is a lot like hover mode, or sorry, dolly track on the HoverAir. And what's cool about it is it works really well. The HoverAir's dolly track sometimes kind of gets pushed to the side really easily, and then it follows you. This will do that too. But what I found is it's pretty good. It really wants to try to stay in front of you unless you get going real fast, then it'll scoot around and behind you. But as I'm going around this corner, it's sort of off to the side, but it's going to want to push over. See, now that I'm going straight, it's going to push in front a little bit here. See, as I turn, it kind of goes a little to the side, but then it pushes in front. So let's talk about the mic. I'm recording with my with my Comic-Con mics. So you're gonna hear prop noise in this mic because it's not going through the software and canceling the noise, but I wanted to see what the difference is gonna be like because we're recording basically audio through the drone and we're recording audio through the mic. The drone mic is gonna cancel out the drone prop noise, which works pretty good. So let's do a little bit of running, see if we can push this thing out of the way. See, oh, it's trying. It's on the side here. If I slow down, it's gonna get in front. Interesting. So it's off to the side. If I go slower, it's gonna move around to the front. Lots of leaves. So as soon as you go straight, it moves to the front. Now that I'm turning, it's gonna go a little to the side, but it's trying to keep me kind of in front. If I speed up, it gets a little close, it tries to back up. I'm gonna go around it. Okay, so if you go around it, it'll just follow you. And the last thing I wanted to mention is that because this is a longer file, you want to keep everything on, the drone on and everything on, because the audio's got to transfer from the phone to the drone. If you shut everything down too quick, you can lose your audio. All right, so we're recording. We're just going to go manual mode. We're going to take off. I'm just recording 4K. Oh, there we go. I want to see kind of, you move the gimbal down here, which is kind of cool. All right, we're going to go up and back and see what kind of range we can get. Let's go up and away. See how far we can go. Takes a bit. Going up some more. Turn it around. Go up a bit more. Turn the gimbal down a little bit. Okay. Move up a little higher maybe. Still going up. Still going up. That's pretty high. Wow, that's plenty high. Go backwards. It's pretty. It is much further away than the HoverAir. That is really a lot further than I was thinking it would be. It's still
Max flight distance reached.
Max flight distance reached, but I can still go up. Wow.
Max altitude reached.
Okay. Max altitude reached. And the video transmission is decent. Wow, that's crazy. I wonder if there's a return to home. I don't see a return to home. So we are going to have to, see here. Return home.
I didn't hear you clearly. Please repeat your command.
Return home. Return home.
I didn't hear you clearly. Please repeat your command.
So we're going to go forward and down. We're coming in. Move the gimbal at the same time. It's not bad. Now we're going to come down. Some more. Wow, this is pretty impressive. Adjust the gimbal as you come down. It does take a long time. Like, it would be nice if these gimbal settings, you could make them a little faster. So we're going to come forward. It definitely, I wonder if there's a way to adjust the maximum speed. Pretty good though, I'm telling you. Speed-wise, it's not bad, but see here, just put my hand underneath.
Land.
That keeps going up. Wow. That is high. Cool. I can do a slow pan. Not impressed? Well, for the follow mode, you can actually say voice commands and have it change distances and heights as you're walking. This one I can do that, but I have to do it before. I don't know why it doesn't give me, like if I do the voice commands, further away. Oh, it is. It's working. There you go. It does work. My bad. Well, it says higher. It does work. That's wrong. Maybe it's too high. It's pretty cool. This might be able to go even more further away. Further away. Oh, going further away. Very cool. Let's go this way. No, let's go this way so we don't hit her. Pretty cool though, right? And if you go around it, it does the follow thing. Remember like the other one used to?
Yes.
So now we have to, I can stop.
All right, so here we are. We've got the remote there. If I point it at you, we're using the motion controller here, and I'm recording in 4K because this is probably the best suited for that. We're just gonna do some basic flying around, and I have it in normal mode here. And you'll see here, we get up to about 6 kilometers an hour. This one's ideal for doing this, you know, flying around, real casual, having a fair bit of control if you want to do some stuff where you're going through kind of like, I'll show you. So I'm going to slow it down and just go through some bushes here really slowly. Creep your way through without having to worry about flying in. Whoop, there's a tree there, little branches coming up. Without having to worry too much about having to maintain altitude and all this stuff when you're in actual manual mode. But it's perfect for creeping your way around. I love it for that. It's great for just navigating stuff if you're doing some exploring and you want to go through small little spots or whatever. Try to miss branches and twigs and all that stuff. But you could still, I'm going to put it into, I've got to remember how to do this. I'm going to put it into sport mode here. It's not going to go that much faster. A little faster though. No, it's not too bad. It's faster than I remember. It's fast enough. So about 8 meters per second. I'm not even sure. I should switch it over to kilometers an hour. It'd be easier to figure it out. But you can do some pretty fun stuff here. And it's pretty easy to control this bad boy. in this mode. And it's fast enough. You know, it'd be nice to go a little faster than this. It seems like when you get closer to the ground, it slows down. So it's like a safety thing. I remember with the Avata, you could go a little faster if you were closer to the ground. But with this guy, if you get up a little higher, you can go faster. As you can see here, it's letting me do about 8 meters a second. I'll try and put that on the, it's fast enough, I guess. And then if you get close to the ground, that's when it slows you down a little bit. But it works pretty good. It's super easy to control this thing. Basically, wherever you point it is where it goes. I'm full throttle, by the way, but it's pretty fast. I'm not gonna lie, it's fast enough. And it seems like as you get closer to the ground, it slows down a little bit. Oh, not too much, but a little bit. But you do feel like you're going faster when you're closer to the ground. Just back off the throttle a little bit, and it slows down. That's full climb, by the way. It's neat how it points up. Climbing as fast as I can. And I'm going to do a full dive. You can hear it struggling a little bit. It doesn't like to dive too hard. This is full dive. But it's great for exploring. This controller, the remote. Whoa. It's pretty good. It's pretty safe. So we'll bring her down. So we got 73%. I'm going to turn around here. It's weird how when you're flying and then you're trying to turn around and reel, it feels like you're doing crazy stuff. But yeah, so this is just an awesome controller for just having fun and exploring and getting a little bit of speed, kind of feeling a little bit like FPV, but maybe without all of that crazy speed. So now we're going to switch it over to the manual controller and I'll try not to crash. All right, we're going to just do a little flying. I'm in 1080p just to get the 60 frames per second recording, which is better for the goggles because I'm going to fly this in manual mode. I'm not going to do anything crazy because I haven't had much luck with flips and rolls. I'm still kind of learning how to do that without making this thing freak out. But we're just in normal mode, so it's a great way to take off and just kind of start, you know, flying and just get some typical drone stuff if you want to, say, get up in the air a little bit. Just, you know, nice slow stuff maneuvers, and then hopefully the gyro, the what's it called, DJI's, it's got its own basically system for keeping everything stable. I forget the name now, I just left my head here, it's gone. Anyways, they got a good system for doing that, and it keeps everything nice and level. You can do horizon leveling too, or just like if you want it to have a little bit of roll, you can get a little bit of roll. And I'm going to put it in sport mode. Trying to remember, oh, just change my thing here. I don't want to do that. So if I change it and put it in sport mode, now we're going to get a little more speed. Okay. So you see how it gets a bit more roll, you get a little more speed. But this is good for just getting some nice cinematic stuff. But what I really want to test out is manual mode. So you have to just basically get your sticks lined up so they're both green. And then it should click in. There we go. Don't fall in the pool. And I just want to show you, you can get going a lot faster. So we are 15, 16 meters per second. I can't remember what that actually would be in kilometers per hour or miles per hour. I'm not really great with this yet. I'm used to my other drone, so this is pretty new to me. I can do basic stuff, but I'm not going to do any flips or rolls in this video. I just want to show you what it kind of looks like and that you can kind of fly around and have some fun. This is great for, like, you know, if you want to do some exploring, but you want to get going a little faster. Will you do it? Don't go in the pool, but you can Go up nice and high. Do all your typical manual stuff. I'm gonna try and do something like a split. Oh, that worked all right. So that wasn't too bad. I didn't get much. You get like a lot of tail wash and stuff if you're not careful. You'll get tail spin and you'll get some washout, because I think maybe firmware might help with that. But I'll just show you. You know, you got good range here. Like this thing can just go for with the DJI Goggles 3. I mean, I'm at 36 megabits per second. I'm still getting awesome transmission here. 22. The signal in my glasses is awesome. Let's bring it back though. I don't want to lose my drone today. I'm gonna come back here, put a little jam into the stick, get it going a little faster. I'm probably fighting the wind a little bit here because it's only going 13 meters per second, whatever that is in kilometers an hour. Do a little bit of a dive. You can do dives, but you can go up, you can do dives, but you can't pull out too quickly. That's what she said. Anyways, I just wanted to show you that, you know, manual mode works really well. It's not a freestyle drone, definitely not. But, you know, if you want to fly around and do some exploring and have a lot of fun and do it with a bit of speed, you can totally do it. Again, I'm not the world's best FPV pilot. That's 100% sure. I'm going to switch it now into sport mode and bring it down. So that's the beautiful thing, is you got return to home. This guy's got GPS. So if for some reason you're lost, you can just do return to home so it knows exactly where home is. And you can put it in sport mode or even normal mode, slow things down, and just bring it right in and land this bad boy. And finish her up. And we'll land it.